look at the screen in front of you, because before we say another word, we're going to put your brain to work. You'll see a grid filled with the numbers 1 through 25, scattered completely at random, no order to them at all, just a messy field of digits waiting to be found. In a few seconds, I'm going to say go, and from that moment, your only job is to find every number in order, 1, then 2, then 3, all the way up to 25, as quickly as your eyes will let you. Don't dart your eyes frantically from corner to corner. Instead, keep your gaze soft and resting gently in the center of the grid, and let the edges of your vision, the part of your sight you almost never think about, do the actual searching for you. Take a breath, settle into your chair, and get ready. 3, 1, go. However you did, whether you sailed through all 25 before the clock ran out, or you're still hunting for number 12, take a moment to notice how it felt. If you found every number in time, congratulations, that tells us your visual processing speed is sharper than most people your age, and the 4 exercises we have lined up next are going to push that sharpness even further. And if you didn't make it all the way through, don't feel even a flicker of disappointment, because that is exactly why you're here with us today. This single episode contains 4 more brain exercises just like that one, each one designed to wake up a different part of your mind, plus 2 simple daily habits that will help lock all of these gains firmly in place so they don't slip away once the episode ends. By the time we reach the end of this conversation, your mind is genuinely going to feel different, sharper, clearer, more alive than it did 5 minutes ago. So stay with us all the way to the very end, because there is one quiet nighttime habit that undoes a huge amount of this good work while you sleep without you ever noticing it happening, and we are going to show you the simple, free way to stop it starting tonight. Welcome back to the Senior Health Podcast, the show where East meets West to help you stay strong, clear-headed, and independent well past the age of 60. Before we go any further, if you would, drop the number 1 in the comments section wherever you're watching this from, just so we can get a sense of where in the world our listeners are tuning in from tonight, and it helps the show reach more people like you in your own country. Now let's get into the heart of today's conversation. Doctor, this happens to every single one of us at some point. You walk into a room with a clear purpose in mind, and suddenly your mind goes completely blank, or a word you've used your entire life, a word that used to come to you instantly, simply vanishes right in the middle of a sentence and leaves you standing there searching for it. People feel this happen, and they quietly, privately wonder whether their memory has finally started slipping away for good, whether this is just what getting older looks like from the inside. So let me ask you directly what so many of them are typing into a search bar late at night when nobody else is watching. What are the best brain exercises to improve memory after 60? The best brain exercises to improve memory after 60 are short daily mental workouts that challenge your brain in ways it isn't used to anymore. Things like the number grid we just did together, a color naming game that trains attention, and deliberately using your weaker, non-dominant hand to force new pathways to form. They work because of one simple, almost brutally honest law that governs every living brain: use it or lose it. For decades of your life, you challenged your mind constantly without even realizing you were doing it, learning a brand new job from scratch, raising a family through all its chaos and change, finding your way through unfamiliar cities and strange new places. But later in life, the world around us tends to shrink and settle into routine. The same rooms, the same faces, the same small loop of days, and the mental pathways you simply stop using regularly go quiet. The signals along them slow to a crawl. That slowdown, that heaviness, is the fog you feel pressing in. So the fog itself is not permanent damage carved into the brain forever. It's closer to a walking trail that's simply grown over from lack of use. Precisely that, and here's the encouraging part. The brain is not a stone that only wears down over time. It holds a remarkable capacity called neuroplasticity, the ability to grow entirely new wiring at 60, at 70, even at 90 years old. German researchers actually proved this in a striking way. They taught a group of people in their 60s how to juggle, a skill most of them had never attempted in their lives, and after only 3 months of practice, brain scans revealed that their gray matter had physically grown, real, measurable tissue, sprouting fresh in people well past 60, from nothing more than the simple act of learning something new. The trail can absolutely be walked open again, we only have to start walking it. And in a very real sense, we already took that very first step together with the number grid a few minutes ago. That's the perfect place to have started, because we threw everyone straight onto that trail before we'd even properly said hello. Now, before we move on to the second exercise, walk us through what was actually happening inside the brain while everyone was hunting for those scattered numbers. That grid is built on a classic cognitive tool known as the Schulte table. As the brain grows foggier with age or disuse, our vision tends to narrow into a tight, anxious tunnel, and hunting for those numbers while holding a soft, still gaze forces that tunnel back open and speeds up how quickly your brain takes in the wider world around you. That little flicker of frustration you might have felt partway through the exercise, that's actually fresh, oxygenated blood rushing forward into the front of your brain to help you. And just 60 seconds of practice like this each day is genuinely enough for your processing speed to climb. It's the exact same skill that lets you spot a car pulling unexpectedly out of a side street in time to react, or spot your missing keys sitting in plain sight on a cluttered table. Now, the second exercise is designed to drag your brain forcefully out of its comfortable autopilot. All right, tell us about the second one. I call this one the color word clash. On the screen, you'll see a short list of ordinary words, but each word is the printed name of a color, shown in a different color of ink entirely. So the word red might actually be printed in blue ink, or the word green printed in orange. Your task is simple to describe but surprisingly hard to do. Say the color of the ink out loud, never the word itself. Let's actually this together right now. Look at the very first word on the list. Do not read it. Just say, out loud, whatever color you actually see in front of you. Now move to the next word and the next, working down the list as quickly as you can manage, speaking each color the moment you see it. Notice how your tongue keeps wanting to trip over itself, wanting to read the word instead of naming the color, and just push straight through that resistance. Honestly, just watching the audience here in the studio hesitate and stumble over this tells me exactly how difficult it really is in practice. They hesitate because reading has been completely automatic for your entire lifetime. It happens faster than conscious thought. So forcing yourself to name the ink color instead lights up a region of the brain called the anterior cingulate cortex, the part responsible for focus and for filtering out competing distractions. It's a little like making a river flow uphill for a moment, and that unnatural strain is precisely what builds the mental muscle we're after. This is the very same power you rely on to follow one conversation, clearly in a noisy, crowded room, or to hold on to your train of thought while a television blares away in the background. Strengthen this particular muscle now, and you will genuinely feel the benefit everywhere in your daily life. That's a wonderful way to picture what's happening. So we've widened the focus with the first exercise and sharpened attention with the second. What does the third one target? The third exercise is designed to wake up a part of the brain that has essentially fallen asleep from disuse. Most of us lean so heavily on our eyes for everything that our brain's sense of space and touch quietly grows lazy and underused over the years. So for this one, we're going to take vision out of the picture entirely, just for a moment. Sitting safely in your chair, go ahead and close your eyes and simply listen to my voice. Now lift one finger and slowly trace your first name in the air in front of you, feeling each letter take shape as you draw it, the curves, the straight lines, the little spaces between each letter. Once you've finished your name, trace a circle in the air. Now a triangle. Now a square. Notice how your brain actually has to picture each shape clearly before your hand can even begin to draw it correctly. With your sight switched off like this, the brain jumps into a state of high alert and starts building fresh connections in order to find its way through space using feel alone. I can only imagine how strange that must feel in the moment, your hand moving confidently through empty air with no eyes at all to guide it along the way. It really does force the brain to operate in a mode it almost never has to use anymore in ordinary daily life. That's precisely the whole point of the exercise. And there's actually a lovely way for everyone listening to test this together right now, by typing your first name into the comment section with your eyes fully closed the entire time. This is the perfect moment to get everyone involved together. So everyone, pause this recording right now if you can, close your eyes completely, and type your own first name into the comments without peeking at the screen even once. Don't go back afterward and fix any typos that happen, just leave them exactly where they land on the page. It's honestly one of the most simple and honest little memory tests there is, and we genuinely love reading every single one that comes in. Go on and give it an honest try before you keep listening. Now, once everyone has had a chance to do that, let's move forward to the fourth exercise, which forces the left and right halves of your brain to communicate with each other quickly and efficiently. And that fast communication between the two sides is exactly what keeps your everyday memory recall sharp and reliable. Hold both of your hands up in front of you at chest height. With your right hand, form a peace sign, 2 fingers raised straight up. With your left hand, form an OK sign, your fingertip and thumb touching together in a small circle. Now watch closely, because we're going to switch on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3, switch. The right hand now forms the OK sign, and the left hand forms the peace sign. And now, back again. Keep going, back and forth. Try to manage 5 smooth, clean switches within about 10 seconds. Go ahead and give this a genuine try right along with us at home. I'm actually attempting this myself right now while we talk, and I have to say it's considerably harder than I expected it to be. Please stay with us through this next stretch as well, because we're still building steadily toward that nighttime habit that's quietly shrinking the brain while you sleep, and you really won't want to miss what comes next. Doctor, what exactly is happening in the brain when the fingers simply refuse to cooperate the way we want them to? Those tangled, uncooperative fingers are essentially the bridge between your 2 brain hemispheres struggling in real time to carry all that back and forth traffic smoothly. Practice this exercise consistently until the switch finally turns smooth and effortless, and you are, in a very literal sense, physically thickening that bridge, a bundle of nerve fibers known as the corpus callosum. Studies looking at people learning coordinated movements very much like this one have shown real, measurable growth in the white matter that connects the 2 sides of the brain together. A smoother, faster switch translates directly into a faster mind overall, one that reliably remembers names, familiar words, and the actual reason you walked purposefully into a room in the first place. Please don't give up if your hands feel completely hopeless and uncoordinated at first, because that early clumsy stage is actually the single most valuable part of the entire process. So try this for about 30 seconds each and every morning, and watch closely how quickly the movement begins to smooth itself out over just a few days. And what's the 5th and final exercise? The 5th exercise is refreshingly simple to describe, yet surprisingly powerful in practice. For one entire day, deliberately use your non-dominant hand for all sorts of ordinary, everyday tasks. If you happen to be right-handed, your right hand has been running comfortably along a smooth, well-paved highway your entire life, while your poor left hand is little more than a rough, neglected dirt track by comparison. So tomorrow morning, brush your teeth using the wrong hand entirely. Stir your morning tea with it. Wipe down the kitchen counter with it. Hold your spoon with it. Breakfast. It's going to feel clumsy and frustratingly slow at first, and that very clumsiness you feel is precisely the sensation of brand new pathways being laid down in real time inside your brain. You are essentially asking the motor cortex to wake up muscles and neural connections that it has quietly ignored for years on end. And waking up those sleepy, neglected corners of the brain is exactly how we go about clearing away the fog for good. I love that the awkwardness itself becomes the very proof that the exercise is actually working as intended. And if you're genuinely enjoying these exercises so far, here's something playful to try immediately. Reach over right now and tap the like button using your non-dominant hand instead of your usual one. It helps this channel reach even more people who need to hear this message, and it quietly counts as a bonus round of exercise 5 at the same time. So that covers all 5 of our brain exercises for today. Now, you promised us 2 simple daily habits that would help protect and reinforce everything we've just built together in this conversation. What's the first one? The first habit concerns the actual games you choose to spend your time playing each day. We're constantly told that all screen-based games rot the mind equally, but the specific type of game actually matters enormously to your brain. Mindless, repetitive swiping games tend to drop your brain into a dull, almost hypnotic trance state that offers very little real benefit. Active, engaging games do the complete opposite. Sudoku, a proper crossword, a word scramble, a full game of chess, anything at all that forces you to plan a few careful steps ahead gives your hippocampus, which functions as the brain's central memory hub, a genuine and meaningful workout. The hippocampus happens to be the very first region that memory-related disease tends to attack early on, so keeping it consistently busy and engaged is some of the very best protection available to you. Set yourself one simple, honest rule going forward. For every 10 minutes you spend mindlessly scrolling, you owe your brain 10 full minutes of a real, engaging puzzle in return. You can actually start that habit the moment this episode ends, with a quick crossword or a single round of Sudoku waiting for you. A small trade to make, admittedly, but a genuinely powerful one when repeated daily over months and years. And what's the second habit we need to build into our routine? The second habit is learning to stop handing your memory over completely to your phone for absolutely everything. Most of us no longer recall even a single phone number from memory anymore. We never bother adding up a restaurant bill in our heads the way we once did automatically. We let a little glowing map on a screen drive us confidently to every single place we go, even routes we've driven 100 times before. Each and every time you hand a mental task over to that little microchip in your pocket, your own memory grows just a bit weaker as a direct result, because use it or lose it remains an unbending, iron rule inside every human brain. So start small today in a way that actually feels manageable. When you head out to the shop for perhaps 5 specific items, leave the written list at home entirely and make yourself genuinely remember all 5 items unaided. When you go to call your daughter later today, dial her number entirely from memory instead of tapping her name on a screen. Keep the phone firmly in its proper place as your emergency backup system, never as your primary brain. I have to admit, that particular habit might honestly be the hardest one of all 5 or 6 we've discussed today, simply because the phone has quietly crept into every single corner of our daily lives without us ever really noticing it happening. That very difficulty is actually the whole point of the exercise. Doing these small, ordinary things the slower, more deliberate way on purpose is precisely what keeps the mind genuinely strong over time. But I do have to be completely honest with everyone listening today. You can perform every single exercise flawlessly and build every one of these habits perfectly into your routine, and you can still lose meaningful ground if you continue to ignore what your brain quietly needs to do each and every night while you sleep. Wait, so there's actually something out there that can quietly undo all of this careful, good work we've just built while we're sound asleep and completely unaware? We absolutely have to hear about this before we go. Doctor, what exactly is this nighttime habit you're referring to? You can genuinely do every single thing right during the day and still wake up tomorrow morning in a heavy, thick mental fog if you continue to block the one essential thing your brain truly needs each night. Your brain actually has its own dedicated plumbing system, known formally as the glymphatic system. All day long, as your individual brain cells burn through fuel to keep you thinking and moving, they leave behind a kind of toxic cellular waste, including the very same proteins that scientists have directly linked to serious memory disease later in life. The only time that accumulated waste actually gets washed away completely is during genuine deep sleep, when your brain cells physically shrink, just slightly to allow fluid to rush freely through the surrounding tissue and rinse all of that built-up trash safely away. Researchers who have carefully studied this exact process found that this internal cleaning system runs many times faster while you're deeply asleep compared to while you're awake and alert. It is, quite literally, the brain thoroughly cleaning its own house from top to bottom, but that essential cleaning only happens properly when the lights are fully out and you're genuinely deep under, not just lightly dozing. So real deep sleep isn't simply passive rest for the body, it's an active, essential deep cleaning cycle for the brain itself. What exactly is the specific habit that ends up ruining this whole process for so many people? It's the bright screen glowing right beside your face in bed. When you lie there in the dark staring directly into a television screen or a phone screen, that particular blue light tricks your brain into genuinely believing it's still broad daylight outside, and that false signal shuts down the melatonin production you desperately need in order to drop properly into deep, restorative sleep. Without that essential deep sleep phase, the entire washing cycle we just described simply never runs at all, and the toxic cellular waste keeps piling up steadily, night after night after night. That accumulation is exactly what creates that thick, heavy morning fog so many people complain about, and over many years of this pattern repeating, it can actually begin to physically shrink the brain itself in measurable ways. Thankfully, the fix for all of this costs you absolutely nothing at all. Simply switch off every single screen in the room a full hour before you intend to go to sleep each night. Read an actual physical book instead, listen to some soft, calming music, let the entire room gradually go properly dim, and give your brain the genuine darkness it needs in order to clean itself out completely and thoroughly overnight. That makes absolutely perfect sense when you explain it that way. Now, before we wrap up today's conversation, would you mind giving everyone listening the quick, simple summary list so they know exactly what to practice starting the moment they wake up tomorrow morning? Of course, happy to. 5 total exercises plus 2 daily habits designed to protect all of those gains going forward. First, the visual number grid, which works to widen your overall focus. Second, the color word clash, which works to sharpen your attention specifically. Third, the eyes closed tracing exercise, which works to wake up your other senses. Fourth, the finger switch exercise, which works to link both halves of your brain together more efficiently. Fifth, deliberately using your non-dominant hand, which works to lay down entirely new neural pathways. Then, layered on top of those 5, 2 essential daily habits, choosing smart, engaging games over lazy, mindless ones in order to properly feed your memory center, and practicing tech-free recall throughout your day in order to keep your own natural memory genuinely strong and capable. And finally, every single night, screens fully off a full hour before bed, so that your brain finally has the chance it needs to wash itself completely clean while you sleep. None of what we've covered today is meant to feel like some tedious chore you have to grind through. Every single one of these small practices is living, breathing proof that your mind can still genuinely grow and change at any age you happen to be. Your mind really can still grow at any age. That's worth repeating clearly one more time before we go. So everyone listening today, simply pick just 2 of these exercises or habits to genuinely start tomorrow morning. Nothing more ambitious than that for now. And tell us honestly in the comments section which one of them tangled you up the very most while you were trying it. Go ahead and hit that like button for us, subscribe to this channel if you haven't already, and share this particular episode with a friend or family member who's also looking to keep their memory sharp and reliable as the years go by. And please make absolutely sure to watch our very next episode as well, because this one coming up is genuinely a good one. People really do need to see what we've got prepared for them. Definitely worth the watch, I completely agree. We'll see you right there.